It's the new year and it's time to finally tackle that long-term goal of yours in OSRS. Maybe it's finally maxing, getting 1,000 collection logs, or even just getting a quest cape. All of these are goals that cannot be simply done over a weekend. And if you add in real-life responsibilities, it can take sometimes months or even years to complete these. So how do you stay focused? How do you stay the course? Here are my tips for how you can ensure you complete those long-term goals to finally achieve your childhood dreams in OSRS. Tip 1. Embrace incremental progress. While I may not be max yet, I did undertake a large real-life goal of completing my first marathon last year. Over the course of my running journey, I've lost 100 pounds and completed my first marathon this past spring. And then I did another, even faster in the fall. Maybe you've heard the phrase, it's a marathon, not a sprint. This phrase is meant to emphasize that a marathon is a large goal that should be approached differently than a short-term goal. 26.2 miles takes a lot more effort than running just one. Instead, a person running a marathon should take their run 1 mile at a time and follow a consistent pace. We all have life changes that pop up as we get older. For me, it was becoming a father 5 years ago, and it changed the way that I had to manage my free time. Oddly enough, this was about the same time I switched from playing my 2K Total main to playing an Ironman. I know, what's wrong with me? Well, instead of getting overwhelmed by the grind of an Ironman, I began to itemize what I wanted to complete on a Google spreadsheet. This was very similar to how my training plan was for my runs for training for my marathon. I would slowly tick off tasks one by one on my goal to maxing. I knew that my ultimate end goal was to max, so I started with a smaller goal of a quest cape. I would write out the quests and categorize them by their length. This allowed me to portion the appropriate amount of time I had to complete quests in the evening. After this, I moved on to the achievement diaries. They were a great midway goal on my journey to maxing. I knocked off the requirements for those one by one and tried to make my large goal into smaller ones. This is the heart of incremental progress. Daily or weekly progress will eventually snowball into a greater goal. The small runs pay off the larger goal of a marathon. Tip number 2. You will never beat your past self. When I became a dad, I realized my lifestyle would never be the same. If you've ever been through a major life change, becoming a parent, losing a loved one, or something else that is significant, you may have felt this too. The feeling that you don't have as much time to devote to personal hobbies. You're not as healthy as you once were, or even not as talented as you once were in certain areas. Here's the reality. You will never beat that past version of yourself. That is an overwhelming battle that you can't win. However, here's the good news. You're not competing against that past version of yourself. You are competing with yourself every day. There is a version of yourself in a day that goes for a run. There's a version of yourself that gets that 100k XP in a skill. And then there's a version of yourself that does none of those things. When I first started getting healthier in my life, I would lapse and make some bad eating decisions. My wife would always tell me, every meal is a chance to make a better choice. Oddly enough, that advice can also apply to old school RuneScape. Every login is a chance to work towards your goal. Tip 3. Find your motivation. This is a bit subjective because we are all motivated by different things. Sometimes they can be as serious like memorializing a loved one's memory, or even a quote from a random YouTuber or Twitch streamer. This is the silliest thing, but when I was grinding out my BOFA on my Ironman, getting 10 KC a week over the course of 6 months, I was struggling. However, I popped into a stream from the rank 2 OSRS player Jagex. I don't even watch him very much. I mean, he seems like a really nice guy, but he responded to a Twitch comment that just stuck in my brain. The Twitch chat asked, "Hey, do you ever get burned out from grinds?" And he said something along the lines of, "Yeah, I do, but then I just keep doing it." Man, sometimes you just gotta put your head down and keep doing it. Keep going, don't stop. And it doesn't matter how fast you run, just finish the race. Now I know that Jagex has moved on from his main account where he was doing some of those longer grinds for collection logging, but that quote still sticks with me as I go through some of my harder grinds as I go through OSRS. A silly quote from just a random RuneScape player, but it really kind of helps when I think about some of my more difficult tasks. And tip number 4, don't get distracted. Finish what you started. Now let me be clear, it's okay to take breaks from long-term goals. I've been trying to actively max now for 2 years, but I've taken breaks for things like Leagues and Gridmaster. Ironically, despite the fast-paced nature of those game modes, I came back to the main game re-energized and ready to continue the grind. But if your intention is to complete your goal, don't allow things like new accounts or restarting to get in the way. As a small content creator, I have a ton of ideas I could pour time into, It would probably make for more interesting content, but I set out to max my account for the first time in 24 years of playing this game. Always remember your end goal. I hope you found these tips helpful or motivating. If you have a goal for the new year, why don't you drop it in the comments, and maybe we can keep each other accountable a year from now. Hopefully I'll be max and you'll have completed your goal as well. Anyway, good day and God bless. See you in the next one.